All right, good Wednesday morning now.
It is Wednesday.
Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin and Meteorologist Eric Garlick, myself. Wow, what a day yesterday.
Yeah, incredible day. Anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of rain. Of course, we had wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, measured at 62 miles per hour at Bank of America Stadium, Center City, Charlotte. And unfortunately, we had what we think is a tornado that touched down in Claremont, which is north of Charlotte in Catawba County. What we do know is that there was at least one fatality, other injuries, and a lot of damage. You are going to be up there with the National Weather Service later this morning as they send a survey team out to actually take a look at what the damage was and determine whether or not this was straight line winds or a tornado. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. All we know is that there's been a lot of damage, and we have, as I say, at least one fatality. So that's the sad part of the whole thing.
Yeah, so we'll be up there looking at that, kind of pinpointing what actually happened. But based on drone video, there's a clear path. Some of the things the National Weather Service looks for, how the trees fall. Is it divergent? Are they going away from each other? Are they crisscrossed on top of each other? Structural damage.
Yeah, and we saw sort of a couplet, if you will. You in particular were looking at this yesterday with the reflectivity data, and it sort of showed, we saw at least a couple of scans where we were quite alarmed at what we saw. Now, an actual warning did not come out, and you know, these were quick hitters, but boy, they can do, what I mean by that is in these types of situations in the Carolinas, typically the Carolinas are famous for these tornadoes that bounce. They come right in and they're gone in a matter of seconds. And it does, you know, the damage is done. So again, you're going to be up there. We'll see what happens. Here's the good news about today and tomorrow. We have dry weather, mostly sunny skies, which is going to be good for recovery efforts and sort of, you know, cleanup operations. But it'll be a short-lived break.
Yeah, you talked about how quick those tornadoes touched down. Yeah. Keep in mind, storm motion. We were getting storm motion on some of these yesterday, 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, so just the sheer forward speed of these storms has so much wind energy with it. And, you know, we talked about this yesterday morning, about tapping into some of that wind energy, and if we could get that to come down to the surface. We had several tornado warnings issued, but again, the greatest damage we saw was up there in
and
Claremont.
even if it was on the ground for a minute, it's over a mile.
That's right.
So,
that's right. Just going at the forward speed that it has.
So
that's right.
Pretty impressive. But let's talk about what's going on right now. Things is pretty quiet. A couple of quiet days.
Yeah, we do have still some snow that's flying in the air up in the mountains, but these are more flurries now than anything. Generally speaking, had about an inch of snow up there, but the wind gusts are still really strong in the mountains, and that's going to be an issue through the day today. And really for all of us, it'll be a breezy day. But again, that will help to dry things out at least a little bit. Look at all the rainfall.
Yeah, look at those rainfall totals. 3.62 in southern Mecklenburg County. Yeah. A lot of 2.5s.
Yeah, it looks like Matthews there, 3.64.
Yeah.
Somebody's close to Mint Hill with almost 4 inches of rain.
Yeah,
and these are basically observations that are taken from a network, a co-op network here, and reported to the USGS. So we know this is reliable data. And many, many places with over 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, and we had you know, incredible flooding. Almost at one point, I think almost every county in our viewing area was under a flood warning or advisory of some sort yesterday.
Yeah, and still going to be looking at some of those creeks to rise and talking about more rain coming our way as we head toward Friday. And
that's not going to be a good situation there.
I mean, first alert weather day for Friday.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You know, you and I were looking at some of this data earlier this morning. I think since the day before Thanksgiving, we've had 12.33 inches of rain, almost 12.5 inches of rain in Charlotte. You know, we went all of September, October, most of November with no rain, about 1/4 of an inch, and then all of a sudden things changed. The El Nino really kicked in. And, you know, here we are now into the December and January, and the rain is relentless. This is very typical of an El Nino kind of a pattern. And so here we go with another situation that'll develop here on Friday. Now, there are some similarities, Eric, but there are also some differences.
Timing, potentially a little bit later in the
day. Yes.
Which is bad news, potentially more fuel for these thunderstorms, a little bit more instability, time for the environment to warm up and become saturated as we go through the afternoon. So really something we're watching, but this is a level 3 on a scale 1 to 5 on a day 3 outlook. It doesn't happen very often in the Carolinas, yet alone in January.
That's right. This is why this is a kind of a rare sort of a situation given the timing of the year. So what this tells us that there's a risk for severe weather throughout most of our viewing area, perhaps not in the mountains, but just about everywhere else. And the number of storms could really be elevated when you get, just beyond Center City, Charlotte. As you get down into places like Lancaster, Chesterfield, York, and those counties to the south and east of us, much like we saw yesterday, we had some really intense, in fact, that's where most of the tornado warnings were. But again, there was damage in other places as well. So this is similar to what we saw yesterday. What's different is, unlike what we saw yesterday, the tap of moisture, at least at this point, now granted this is still more than 48 hours out from happening, the tap of moisture coming from the Gulf of Mexico is not quite as ferocious, meaning the rainfall is probably going to be closer to 1 inch than 4 inches. Not to say that somebody can't get 2 or 3 inches of rain out of this, but it doesn't look quite as robust. Nonetheless, if you put 1 to 2 inches of rain on top of the saturated ground that we have right now, and we also see more wind coming with this, possibility of more power outages, Eric.
Yeah, exactly. So, really a similar event and kind of this type of weather pattern that we have setting up. These storms tend to take the same tracks over and over. As the parent system as a whole, not the individual thunderstorms themselves, but the area of low pressure that kind of fuels the whole machine, going to be moving in a similar area. So that's what we're watching as we head toward Friday. Let's show you what it looks like on Futurecast, just show you some of the timing. Today, tomorrow, things pretty quiet, and I guess we'll show you that at a different time. But
what it shows is that we start more than likely dry here on Friday, but rain overspreads the area from southwest to northeast as we go through the day, and even into Friday night. So if you're making your Friday, that's why I declared a first alert weather day for Friday. I was going to do it yesterday because I saw the same signals, but I didn't want to make any confusion. I wanted the focus yesterday to be on yesterday.
And still,
rightly so.
And still 2 days to prepare before the event.
Yeah, so. But now it does look like, and if you're making your Friday evening plans, you're going to have to plan for rain. This looks like it's going to be a much deeper into the day kind of system. Yesterday you and I left here, 4:30 or so. The sun was starting to break out, right? So that's probably not going to happen with this situation on Friday. The sun won't come back until the weekend.
But dealing with some pretty strong winds right now. Let me jump back a graphic. 56 miles an hour, 64 we saw in Jefferson earlier today. So some very strong winds across the area. We'll see those winds staying pretty strong as we head through the afternoon, eventually calming down a little bit as we head into the evening, but still 15 to 20 miles an hour for those wind gusts. Over the next 12 hours, temperatures a chilly 48 with those 20-mile-an-hour winds this afternoon.
We'll get back to about 50 today, which is just a smidge below normal. But again, with that persistent breeze, it'll feel colder than that.
And there's your first alert weather day for Friday, and then turning cold again, temps down into the 20s as we head towards Sunday morning.
I'd say for the weekend overall, it looks mostly dry. I think Saturday is a pretty breezy day behind that front. And upper 40s to about 50 for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, MLK Day. Now it's kind of interesting, I didn't dwell too much on it, but there is another wrinkle in the pattern late Monday night, and there's been some models that suggest there could be some snow. We'll have to see on that. It's a long way out, but I can tell you this, I think next week is going to be very, very cold around here. It'll be the coldest week we've had so far this, fall/winter season, with temperatures that'll be in the 40s in Charlotte for highs and lows at night, deep down into the 20s.
And cold across the country.
Really, The eastern 2/3 of the country are going to be very, very cold. That's good news for the the ski slopes and the ski operators that will be able to make snow, but for your heating bills, that's going to be a little tough. The heat's going to be on a lot next week. So today 50, tomorrow 57, Friday 58. And then it's all downhill from there, where we're mostly going to be in the 40s starting Saturday and right through the upcoming week ahead. So that's what we're seeing right now.
I'm heading up to Claremont right now. Gonna try and join up with the National Weather Service. We'll bring you that information as we go through the day. Update at noon, and then of course 3, 4, 5, and 6 probably. So,
and again, stick with us here because we're going to have updates on this forecast. We know today and tomorrow, outside of that gusty breeze, going to be pretty quiet. So if you've got damage at your place or limbs down, branches, there's a lot of cleanup that needs to take place, and we're getting set for the next storm. You've got a good 48 hours for that to take place, but come Friday, first alert weather day, back up. The rain chances are definitely coming back up. In fact, I'm 100% sure it's going to rain. And again, there is that risk for severe weather, gusty winds, and perhaps flooding, depending on how much rain we can generate with this next system. So that's the one day, smack dab right there in the middle of your graphics, that we're most concerned about. And as we go through the day today, you're here, all of us are here,
Yep.
Lisa, Alicia, and Rachel. So WBTV will keep you covered.
Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned.